So we're going to look at four main problems for act consequentialist theories in general and act utilitarianism in particular. The demandingness objection, the integrity objection, this idea of negative responsibility, and the friendship objection, and see how act utilitarianism kind of plays with these and might allow for some pretty heinous rights violations. Let's talk about it. So, demandingness, and I'll be honest, this is kind of like, if you're going to take any of these four objections away from this, the demandingness one is the one to take, because I kind of feel like these other objections, I mean, they're very interesting in their own right, but they're almost like different kinds of flavors of demandingness. So here's the idea, right? An ethical theory is supposed to match up with our intuitions, right? Well, if we are looking to maximize the good, right? Remember, we are trying to maximize, bring about the most good, the most value, in this case, happiness. And if we fail to do that, then we've kind of done something immoral. That's a pretty demanding theory. So here's the idea, right? If it turns out that running into a burning building would maximize the good, it's not just that this is the right act to do. We have a moral obligation to do it. This is awfully demanding. But let's make sure we're okay on the terminology here. Typically, what we can do is identify four categories of sort of classifying moral actions. Things that are impermissible. These are things, that's the Greek letter phi, so phying is immoral. So, stealing is immoral, lying is immoral. These are impermissible. Then we have things that are permissible. So doing it would be fine, not doing it would be fine. You don't really, it's fine either way. Obligatory. This is when doing the thing phying is expected of you, and not doing it is wrong. Like, maybe, for example, you could, you see someone who needs help, and helping them would cost you virtually nothing. And you just kind of walk by. That seems kind of morally that doesn't seem to be okay. So maybe you have failed to fulfill a moral obligation that you have. And then, here's our word of the day, supererogatory. A supererogatory act is something that is above and beyond the call of duty. It's not expected of you. So if you don't do it, that's fine. But if you do it, that's awesome, right? Because it's not expected of you. So you're maybe put another way, you're praiseworthy for doing it, but you're not blameworthy if you don't. Here's the thing, though, is it looks like supererogation or supererogatory acts might not exist on a consequentialist view, right? Think about your classic supererogatory acts, things like donating to charity, or our example of running into a burning building, or a soldier throwing themselves on a grenade to protect their fellow soldiers. If doing those things maximizes well-being, maximizes the good, then it's not just the right thing to do. You have a moral obligation to do it, right? The right act is the one that maximizes the good. Failing to maximize the good is not the right act. So this is a really surprising result. But it seems to kind of directly follow from the criterion of right that we have, that the right act is the one that maximizes the good. So this is what we mean by the demandingness objection. We just kind of lose this category of acts that are supererogatory. Now, maybe that's fine. And, maybe morality just really is that demanding, but at the very least, it's not super intuitive, right? And so that's a worry for the view. Let's talk about another objection. This is called the integrity objection. This comes from Bernard Williams. I'm just kind of adapting this case. So we've got Jim. He's a staunch pacifist, right? He doesn't even like to kill bugs if he can avoid it. But he finds himself in a position to where he can kill one person in order to save 9 other people. Now, Jim, being a pacifist, really, really does not want to do this, and doing so would seem to violate like this core principle of like who he is, right? It seems like we want to be able to respect people's integrity, their fundamental character aspects. But here, Jim it looks like he's got to maximize the good. He's got to kill this one person in order to save the 9 others. Otherwise, 9, maybe even 10 people are going to die. Who knows? So, if we sacrifice Jim's integrity, it leads to better outcomes, and that seems, at the very least, a little bit like, oh gosh, I don't know if that's the right result. Now, Bernard Williams talks about, and you'll read about this in the driver reading for this module, George the chemist, who loves chemistry, and is a wonderful chemist, and he has the opportunity to work in a chemical weapons manufacturing facility. And he's like, oh gosh, I don't like the idea of this thing that I love, chemistry being used to hurt and kill people. But if he worked there, he could secretly sabotage the chemical weapons so they're less deadly, less lethal. And so it's like, well, should he give up this important principle of who he is in order to go work there? It seems like consequentialist utilitarian theories might require that of him. Now, here is our third objection. The term for this is negative responsibility. Now, to be clear, negative responsibility in general seems to be a thing. If you see a kid drowning in a shallow pond, you could easily just wade into the water, pick the kid up and save it, and you fail to do so, it seems like you bear some responsibility for that child's death, even though you had nothing to do with the situation, right? You could have prevented it, but you didn't. So a lot of people are going to agree that negative responsibility is definitely a thing. But consequentialism cranks this up to 11 and turns almost every decision into a moral decision. Let's say you get done with class and you want to go take a nap. That seems fine, except couldn't you instead go volunteer at a shelter for unhoused people or animals or something like that? Or maybe you could pick up an extra shift at work and donate that money to a charitable cause. Those are things you could be doing, but you're not. So you're failing to maximize the good. Shame on you. That doesn't seem right. It seems like every decision you make now is this crazy ethical decision that it's oh my gosh, I can't even go take a nap without weighing this negative responsibility. And that doesn't seem to be a very good result, does it? So this is what we mean by this negative responsibility objection. And finally, the friendship objection. Remember, act consequentialist theories, we're just kind of assuming, and this is a fair assumption, that they are agent neutral. It doesn't matter whose good we're maximizing. We're just trying to maximize the good. So here's the thing. Let's say my friend's birthday is coming up, and I've got an extra $20 to spend, and I've got to decide whether to buy her a present or donate that money to a charity that buys mosquito nets for families that live in malaria-ridden areas. I can guarantee you that the mosquito net will bring about far more, or at least avoid a whole lot more suffering than would bring about happiness for my friend, right? The way to maximize the good here is hands down buying the mosquito net. It's not even close. Well, here's the thing. What is a friend? I don't want to sing a Sesame Street song here or anything, but like, I mean, a friend is somebody who's like special to you, who's important to you, whose well-being matters to you more than that of like a complete stranger. It doesn't seem, though, that I'm allowed under this utilitarian view to care about people who are my friends more than strangers, right? If it comes to maximizing the good, I don't seem to be allowed to prefer their well-being over that of strangers. I don't seem to be able to like have any friends on this view. So, another problem for the view in general. And let's just quickly look at two quick cases of just sort of this general kind of like demandingness, self-sacrifice, this worry for act utilitarian and act consequentialist views in general. So we've got Kate, she's a doctor, I guess she's like a transplant surgeon or whatever, and she's got 5 patients, all of whom are on life support. Each one of them needs a different organ. So like one needs like a heart, and one needs kidneys, one needs a liver, one needs lungs, like whatever. The problem is all 5 of them each have this same like really rare like antibody type or something like that. And she just hasn't been able to find a donor because like she just can't find anybody who matches. Well, one day, some, unhoused gentleman comes in. He's brought in after collapsing. They run some tests on him and find out, oh, he's just dehydrated. He'll be fine. But while they're running the blood tests, Kate realizes, oh, this dude has this same like really rare antibody type. Here's what I can do. I'll kill this guy, harvest his organs, and transplant them into the 5 people who are waiting for these organs. I will save 5 lives and end up just killing somebody that, not many people are going to miss. Hooray. That doesn't seem right. Now, there are ways out of this case, right? Like, there are excuses we give. Oh, well, what if she's caught? Like, the hospital gets shut down. What if the patients find out? They're going to be, like, really upset. But it's like, okay, but all of those explanations for the wrongness of this act are going to be like the consequences to Kate or the hospital or her patients. Nobody seems to really care about our unhoused guy who, remember, got his organs harvested. So, not exactly the most intuitive result here. And it seems like it's almost like on a surface level reading of this that Kate is almost like morally required to harvest this guy's organs. That doesn't seem okay. And here's another case that I've just kind of taken from another philosopher named J.J.C. Smart. Let's suppose you're a sheriff in a small town and there's been a murder. And for whatever reason, the townsfolk think that this guy, Daryl, is the killer. Now, you're the sheriff, you've been investigating the crime, you know that Daryl's not the killer. But the mob, they've lost it. They are out for vengeance. They're out for blood. They want to take Daryl and they want to like publicly execute him or whatever. And so you've got Daryl in your sheriff's office trying to protect him, and the mob's outside banging on the door like, give us Daryl, and if you don't, like, we're going to torch the whole town. The best way to minimize suffering, it seems, is to hand Daryl over. So again, another case of huge individual sacrifice for what we might call the greater good. So these are all just kind of different flavors of demandingness. And act consequentialism needs a way to address these objections. So that's what we're going to look at in the next video, are Julia Driver's responses to these worries. I'll see you then.